Hello, everybody. So, as I've talked about in a recent Grand Theft Auto 4 video, I've been doing a lot of looking around for shorter games to do as sort of counter-programming, and so I'm doing this because I remember this game existed, SuperSponge, although you wouldn't know that it's called that from the title screen, because this is a very weird and janky game, even more so than the SpongeBob console games that I've done. Bottom. So I guess this is my sixth SpongeBob game playthrough, just the latest in my quest to play every piece of SpongeBob gaming media ever made, including all the Nick.com games. I've never played any of the mobile games. I'm actually very far behind. I haven't played the shittier, newer ones either. And I'm definitely not gonna LP all of them. But they're games that I have played before. This game, the first time that I played it, was actually on my original Let's Play channel, TimStars03. It was the second game that I LP'd on there all the way through after Mario World, I think. Or maybe I did it alongside Mario World. But it's just a, very short, fairly easy game. It feels hard to me, though. But I think that's just because it's very, like I said, it's very janky. The hitboxes on things don't always make sense to me. The, what do you call it? Just the physics of the movement and everything, and the timing of your attacks and stuff has to be very precise a lot of the time, and pixel perfect in some aspects, and I don't know, it's, and there are just some parts of it that are awkward. I really don't like using this jellyfish net because it takes a full minute to catch them, and they can just very easily hurt you. And there's always a bunch of shit on the screen at once. These first few levels aren't particularly hard, but I was sucking at them, as you can tell. This is in post-commentary, if that wasn't obvious enough. You're not getting anything out of me, talking while I'm playing the game. It's a fairly straightforward game. There's 5 chapters with 4 levels each. Each chapter ends with a little boss. The bosses are all pretty bad. I don't like them. They're not all super difficult, but none of them are particularly fun, and the jankiness, the bosses is where the jankiness of the games and all of the game and all the stuff that I mentioned really rears its head the most. These things are shitty. I always get hit by them. I'll be getting hit by pretty much everything in this game, but luckily the game is, first of all, short, so you don't have to go that long for most of the levels. And secondly, it's fairly forgiving, because it is a game for children. So yeah, and it introduces these sorts of things that are only ever really used in one level. I mean, this one is only used in this level. And yeah, the password for the Tradome level is Clumb. And this level is one of those where it should be super easy, but especially with the fact that these platforms, these branches, aren't super well defined of what part of them you can step on. That can make it a little difficult, and it's just very easy to fall down, as I am doing right now, and I will do about 45 more times in this level. I actually, in a moment, you'll notice a couple of edits, because I kept falling back to the very beginning, because sometimes, instead of pressing A right on the edge of the jump, I will, I'll undershoot. Like I said, it's hard to know exactly where those platforms end, those little branch ones. And so I'll go to hit A to jump, but then instead I will hold A after already being in the air, which makes SpongeBob just do this hunker down motion while falling. And yeah, it's just a little bit annoying. And I don't understand how I was doing so badly at these early levels, because I literally played through the entire game right before this. like right before recording it, because like I said, it's an incredibly short game. And yeah, look at this dog shit. Like, you don't have to watch me do all that shit again. But yeah, I wasn't having trouble with the later levels, actually, when I was playing through them just before this. I was actually going through them pretty quickly. I had a pretty good number of extra lives. And then I was like, alright, time to actually record the gameplay for this. And then I start up the early levels and I suck again. Like, I hadn't played it before. And like an hour before that. And I like knew what I was doing, because I was shitty at them when I came back to this, because it's been a while since I played the game, and the controls and everything are a little strange. And so it can be a little bit weird to get used to, especially if you're like me and you only really play a handful of 2D games lately, and so you're kind of used to their control schemes on your keyboard. But whatever. By the way, I guess I should mention, if it isn't obvious, that this is the Game Boy Advance version of this game. There is also a PlayStation 1 version. This game came out in 2001, and it is the first solo SpongeBob video game, actually. It's the second game that SpongeBob appeared in after Nicktoons Racing, which I think originally came out for the Game Boy Color, and then was put out with very different versions on a bunch of other consoles throughout like 2001 and 2002. And then this game came in, and the way that I heard about it was that it was the Game Boy Advance version was released on a twin pack cartridge. It was bundled with Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which I've already done. And then there was another triple pack cartridge, apparently, with Tak and the Power of Juju and a Rugrats game in like 2005, which is very strange. I never knew about that one, but when I had Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, I didn't get the bundle, but I knew about the bundle because it was like advertised on a little thing inside of the game box. Anyway, I've never played the PlayStation game. There are some like notable differences between this one and that one. The main one being the use of the spatulas. In this one, well, in both of them, if you collect all 100 of them, there are 100 in each level, but every time you get 100 of them, you get an extra life. In the PlayStation version, they are your health. And if you get, it's kind of like Sonic and the Rings. If you get touched by an enemy, you lose all your spatulas. And if you don't have spatulas and you get hit, then you die. In this version, you just get health by picking up Krabby Patties, shakes, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not worrying. I don't know what kinds of secrets are in this game. This version of the game is much more stripped down than the PlayStation one, which has a little bit more to do. I don't know if those same things apply for the GBA version. I've never really ventured to find out. I'm not really good enough at the game to try, or like interested in playing the game for long enough to really find everything, so I'm sorry that I'm not like properly showing off this game or whatever, but you know, I just wanted to do a normal run through it, just a sort of casual 2D game, again, as sort of counter-programming to Grand Theft Auto 4. And I would like to do more 2D games. I feel like I've been doing a lot of, you know, GameCube stuff just because it's the most easily emulatable thing that I have, like, that there are games that I have the most experience with on. And this is the first boss. It's very annoying. All of the jellyfish blink. I think that's a problem with the ROM. I don't really remember if that was a problem, or if that's just like a thing with the game, because I kind of remember it doing that when I first played this game, and I know it's a different ROM because I got it from somewhere else and it's a different size. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. It's a little bit disorienting, and this jellyfish doesn't really make much sense like, once you get its health down a little bit more, it starts to, like, just get right on top of you all the time, and you, like, can't get to the side of it. You can't run fast enough to get to the side of it to throw the jellyfish at it, so it can be a little bit wonky. And yeah, they usually leave a Krabby Patty for you there. There's only one, but it's good for a little health pickup, so I try to avoid that, because they usually, later on, they really fuck you and put it, like, right in your path right before the boss, so you collect it, and then the boss is there and you don't have it as a backup. I made that mistake a couple of times. But anyway, as much as I'm sucking at this, I do get this on my first try. As you can see, it's almost dead. So there you go, that's the jellyfish boss. Wasn't that exciting? And then it just hops you right back into the next level. Not right back, you know what I mean. And I didn't talk about it at the beginning because it doesn't matter, but the plot of this game, if you didn't pay attention, is that SpongeBob is looking for a birthday present for Patrick, and I don't remember what it is that he wants from Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy to give to Patrick, but they are not letting him have it until you bring them a bunch of shit, and so you're just going all over the damn place to get them all the things that they're asking for in exchange for a present for your friendo. And right now we're getting kelp cream. And the second chapter here, I believe, is supposed to be, it's like called or is supposed to be the center of the earth. As you'll see in a little bit, the last level of this chapter is an underwater volcano. And, you know, you're gonna see those sorts of rock formations and stuff, as you can right now. And these, stalagmites, I think stalagmites is when they're on the ground, right? And then stalactites is when they're, on the top, I think. This reef blower, or they actually call it a coral blower, is a little bit weird. You can just jump over these dudes and get hurt. But yeah, you hold R to suck it up, and then you release R to shoot it. And you can't hurt these things otherwise, at least not that I'm aware. And then after that, you can bring it, and like they'll give you more stuff later, but you pretty much never have to use it again, and it just kind of makes everything harder, because you can't do your normal attack. And so, yeah, I usually just, like, the items are fine and they have their uses, it's just, they're more of a hindrance than anything, especially with these enemies that you have to have, like, time when you hit them. And yeah, there are a lot of times in this game where it's honestly easier to just get hurt by one of these things at the bottom, and just yeah, like I'm doing here, just let the damage carry you, because you're invincible when you're blinking like that, so it's not like you're taking a bunch of damage, and you can just hop all the way to the place you need to be at. So that's my strat, is just get my ass kicked. And here I was being impatient and unobservant, and so I didn't see that there is a moving platform that goes over there, and so I thought that I had gone the wrong way. And so now I'm trying to see if there's anything over this way, and of course there's not, and there are these falling rocks and these fucking hermit crabs that spin around at you and are impossible to hit because they have a very strange hitbox and they're rolling around all the time, and if they get within 2 inches of you, then you die. And I was waiting for the rock to fall and it wouldn't. So, like I said, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not paying attention, but a lot of the time the timing of these sorts of things in this game seems very random, and I don't know what SpongeBob is doing there. I don't know if he's, like, putting a mask on or something, but there's, like, this black stripe around his eyes when he turns back around. It's very strange. This whole game is very strange. And yeah, Patrick got a fucking present, a balloon for his birthday, and like, we're making a big stink, and he's giving us one of his presents just for us to get another present. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. Another thing that's strange about this game, if you haven't noticed it already, is the music and the sound in general. The music, some of the songs in this game are pretty catchy, or at least like pleasant to listen to. Other ones are very like blinky and weird and kind of off-putting sometimes. I don't know. I tried to do a little bit of research into this game between beating it and recording this to see if there was any... Oh, I think he puts on a mustache and a top hat. That's weird. Maybe he just puts on a different thing every time. I have no idea. I haven't stayed still long enough. I have no idea what these things are. I think they just blow up after they've been on screen for a certain amount of time or until you touch them. I have no idea. I don't know if you can destroy them. I don't know how to interact with them properly, but I mostly just ignore them. But yeah, so I don't know if this is true, but I just get the feeling from this game that it started out as a not SpongeBob game originally, probably, because it seems very haphazard, and a lot of the enemies, even though I guess most of them are like sea creatures, they don't really like, I don't know, they don't feel very SpongeBob inspired. And neither do a lot of the locations. I don't know, it just seems like one of those things that could very easily like have been in development and then skinned over to be a SpongeBob thing. Because I mean, this game wasn't like, it looks very low budget and everything, but it wasn't like a bomb. It was very successful. The PlayStation version sold over 1 million copies and was on their like greatest hits list. So obviously, like, and I mean, it makes sense to me because it came out in late 2001, which was like the beginning of the height of SpongeBob's popularity. Or maybe he's more popular now. And, you know, I don't know. I guess more and more people have watched it, but I feel like there has been a decline in viewership overall since the earlier seasons. But you know what I mean. When SpongeBob really like exploded into pop culture as like a big thing was around 2001, 2002, once like season 2 had been on for a minute and you know, word had gotten around about it. I mean, it was like well liked from the beginning, but that was when stuff really started popping off. And 2000, I want to say 01 is when Hillenburg was approached to do the movie, and 02 is when production started on it. Yeah. And yeah, the glove balloon just makes your jumps a little bit longer and makes your falls last longer. Pretty groovy. But yeah, I don't know. It's totally possible that this was originally conceived of as a SpongeBob game. It wouldn't surprise me to find out otherwise. And yeah, I really suck at timing these fucking jumps, so just take the easy, painful way out. The other thing that makes me think that this was made by people who like have very little familiarity with SpongeBob at the very least is, for one thing, I think it's weird that the title screen doesn't have the title of the game. It's just the generic SpongeBob logo. But also the like sound and the dialogue, like SpongeBob's little weird hopping noise that he makes, is strange. And I haven't been rating it, but like Squidward and Patrick and Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy and pretty much all of the characters, they don't really talk much like the characters. They talk very weird and stiffly. I don't know how to describe it. Just look back at some of the dialogue and you'll probably see what I mean. They just very odd word and syntax choices, especially for the characters. And there are like a couple of turns of phrase. That was excellent. There are a couple of turns of phrase that they use that are like very specific and popular ones from episodes of the show that like are always included in like the video games and the other sort of tertiary show stuff. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. I don't know. Wow, I'm really great at, you know, talking about my opinions on video games. But hopefully, I don't know, hopefully you understand what I mean. But yeah, so this is this game. It's only gonna be this and probably one other video, honestly. Like I said, it's a very short game. I think I beat it in under an hour, and if I were actually good at the game, it would probably be even less than that. You could probably beat this whole thing in like 20 minutes if you weren't a piece of shit. So yeah, and I mean, I don't love it or anything, but it's okay. And these jumps, I don't think I messed it up too bad here, but these jumps, you have to time it very precise because a single pixel of this goddamn fire will hurt you, and most of the time will send you flying back off of the platform. So you gotta be careful about that. And here is a very annoying boss who I'm extremely surprised I was able to kill on my first try here. Took a little bit of time to get into the swing of things because, yeah, the thing you have to do is you have to chop him while he has his mouth open and he's lunging toward you, but before he hits you. Like all of the enemies, you can hit him and still get hit by him like I just did there, which is kind of dog shit, but whatever. And then he does this annoying thing where he drops the barrels and shoots the little blue dildos up, and you have to avoid them. There's not a whole lot of room in between them, and I can never tell where they're going to start coming from. And yeah, timing this with his mouth being open and everything is a little bit strange. It feels a little bit like a Donkey Kong Country boss, except it's a lot jankier and not as clear what you have to do, in my opinion. And you have that weird droning music in the background, which I just talked over all of, but don't worry, you will hear more of it. It's just like, So, next time we'll be doing Precipice Canyon and probably every other level in the game. See you then for that.